going on, guys? Love Smash, back with an all new video for you guys today. And today's video, I feel like it's been forever since I said this, but I am back with an all new Smash Bros related video. I know, right? It feels like it's been forever. But with the recent announcement and reveal of the Nintendo Switch, it's got me thinking, what's to come in the next few years pertaining to Smash Bros? When this new game does eventually come out, because it most likely will, I hate those people who are like, well, there's not going to be a Smash game on Switch because Sakurai said there wouldn't, or Sakurai's not coming back, so there's not going to be. You got to get that out of your heads right now, because you got to remember it all comes down to money, money, money. And Nintendo is not going to give up one of the biggest franchises they have that the fans are going to want to see, because one guy may or may not want to return. If Sakurai does come back, fantastic. If he doesn't, Nintendo will most likely seek new blood to produce that and develop that game. But you got to remember, Nintendo is not going to give up a game that the fans want, that makes them tons of money, because Sakurai may or may not return. Even though we love him, if he doesn't return, they'll seek new blood. If he does, great to have Daddy Sakurai back. But that got me thinking, what's to come in the future years pertaining to Smash Bros? And I have a couple of videos I'm going to end up putting out, a few different top 5s of newcomers. I'm going to do a brand new one, even though the one I did back maybe a year ago or so is kind of outdated at this point. And 2 other ones as well, along with a big roster discussion video. But as right now, I wanted to discuss third-party characters. And since Brawl, they kind of become a staple with every reveal. Like in Brawl, we had Snake revealed, which shocked everybody, and then Sonic. Lo and behold, Smash 4 comes out, we got the reveal of Mega Man, then the return of Sonic, and then the reveal of Pac-Man, then the reveal of Ryu, then the reveal of Cloud, then the reveal of Bayonetta. Third-party characters have built so much hype for this franchise, so in this video, I wanted to give you guys my top 5 predictions, but before we go into that, I just wanted to say a couple things about third-party guest characters in the Smash Bros. Series. Now, I've done tons of videos discussing the Smash Bros. Fighter Ballot, character roster predictions, all that stuff. And a few things I always brought up in terms of third-party characters, which I'm just going to say right now are my top 5 rules when deciding if a third-party character is worthy to be in a Smash Bros. Game. Now, of course, we've seen some things differ with the reveals of certain third-party characters. For example, Cloud being introduced. Nobody thought Nintendo and Square were on such good terms, and that a character like Cloud, who only appeared in like a few of the Kingdom Hearts spin-off games and really never appeared on any, there were no Final Fantasy games on a Nintendo console he appeared in, to be included in a Smash Bros. Game. Or Bayonetta, a character who isn't really that iconic in terms, but with the good relationship that Nintendo has and seemed to love Bayonetta being exclusive for the Wii U and all, it seems like her making it in has stunned a lot of people as well. So my 5 rules for character selection in terms of third-party characters have always been these right here. First up, the character needs to have originated from a video game. No cartoon, anime, real-life characters, etc. This is my #1 peeve when it comes to guest character selection. When people request characters like SpongeBob or Goku or Shrek or any of those characters and say, well, they've been in video games, that makes them eligible. It does not. The character needs to have originated from a video game and be known for being a video game character. So every time I think of character selection, I think this is the #1 most important rule that everyone should think about when they suggest a character to be in a Smash Bros. Game. They need to have originated from a video game. They need to be a video game character. Makes sense. #2, the character needs to be popular or from a big franchise. Very important as well. You're not gonna, like, characters who only appeared once or twice 20 years ago, unless they're Nintendo owned, are really not gonna be considered or that highly requested than a character who is more mainstream, appeared in multiple entries of a video game series, and from a big franchise. So it just goes to show you the more popular they are, the more they're gonna be requested. #3, the character needs to have some type of connection to Nintendo. Like all the guest characters we've had have appeared on a Nintendo console or have some type of connection to Nintendo in some way, shape, or form. Now, of course, like Metal Gear, people argue, well, Snake was in there, but at least Metal Gear, one of the games was ported to GameCube. Like with Cloud, like I said earlier, he appeared at least in a Kingdom Hearts spin-off game for the DS, so at least he appeared on a Nintendo console in some shape or form. Like the other characters, Pac-Man has had a few entries on there, Mega Man, Sonic, of course, Bayonetta. They have some type of connection to Nintendo and appeared on some of their platforms. #4, the character needs to fit in with the Smash Bros. Style, be unique. That's not very important as well. They need to feel like they fit in with Smash Bros. Now, of course, if you can make movesets for certain characters like Fox and Captain Falcon and Villager and Wii Fit Trainer, that's not really the argument if you say, hey, I can think of a moveset for this character they should be in. The character needs to fit in with Smash Bros. And not only that, be unique. You don't want to just choose a clone character of a character we already have and include a guest character. Like, it's weird just having a guest character in there that has the same moveset as a character that Nintendo has. Doesn't kind of really add up and make sense. And #5, personal rule of mine, but of course that rule has been broken and I will explain why. But on to #5, the character needs to be iconic. or at the very least semi-iconic. Example, mascot of the respected gaming company or series. Now, I say this changed, and I would kind of deem these rules like maybe you need 3 out of 5 to be considered as a Smash Bros. Character, but of course that can all change, whatever. But when I look at this, I think of a character who's worthy of being in Smash Bros. They need to be iconic. Snake is an icon, Mega Man is an icon, Pac-Man is an icon, Sonic is an icon, Ryu's an icon, Cloud's an icon, Bayonetta, not so much, but a very good relationship with Nintendo, and the fact that she was voted so high, supposedly, but we'll go back to that later, made her an easy introduction to the Smash Bros. Series, an easy transition, I should say. But when you look at all those characters, Street Fighter, revolutionary game. Street Fighter 2 revolutionized the fighting game series as we know it today. Final Fantasy VII, people identify as some people, the best RPG ever made. Then you look at like Mega Man, Pac-Man, and Sonic. These 3 characters right here are iconic in every sense of the word. They fit all 5 of those rules. Sonic at this point isn't even really a third-party guest character anymore because he's appeared in 2 Smash Bros. Games already, 3 if you count 3DS and Wii U as 2 separate games, which a lot of people do. And most likely, if there is a Smash Switch, he will be in there as well. Mega Man was such a highly requested character. He was added in Smash 4 based on fan demand alone, and I think he will return as well in Smash Switch. You can even see with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, they used the Mega Man X model. It's no longer the classic Mega Man. So it goes to show you, like, he's kind of made his stake in the Smash Bros. Series as well, and I think he'll most likely return. Now, Pac-Man is tricky. And if you guys watch my earlier videos, I was a huge supporter of Pac-Man being in Smash 4. I'm still a huge supporter of Pac-Man. I love the game. I love the character. Now, if Namco comes back to develop Smash Switch, I'm all for that, and I think he'll definitely return. If not, if Namco does not come back to help develop this game, I think Pac-Man's kind of on the fence here. Shigeru Miyamoto really wanted him in. The fans thought he was likely. He's an icon. He's Namco's mascot. He made it in. If they don't develop the game, I don't know. I love and don't want to see Pac-Man cut, but I think it's kind of tricky, and I don't think if Namco comes back that they would consider him, because you're going to figure they're going to want to add more guest characters, newer ones. Maybe not a whole lot, but a few here and there, maybe like 1 or 2 more. They'll want to add a lot more Nintendo characters, new ones as well. And you wonder about the roster size, which will be discussed in a later video, but Pac-Man returning is very tricky, as well as I think it is for Ryu and Cloud. Of course, like I said, Street Fighter 2 revolutionized fighting games, Final Fantasy VII revolutionized RPGs, and these are 2 characters that shocked the fan bases when they were included. You want them to return, will they? And especially those 2, because they were DLC characters, it makes you wonder if they will. I certainly hope so, because I love Ryu, and Cloud is an awesome addition to the roster, but yet again, who really knows if these characters will end up returning, but we'll discuss that in a later video. But that brings us to Bayonetta now. Now, like I said, Bayonetta is not a character I deem, or many people deem as iconic. If you ask people, like the average person who Bayonetta is, like maybe half the people would know if you have to be a gamer. But like I said, Pac-Man, Sonic, Mario, like these characters are ones, Donkey Kong, you can mention to anyone on the street, and 9 times out of 10, you can ask someone age 5 or 85, they'll know who that character is. Now, Bayonetta, when it came to the fighter ballot, I never really saw a lot of people requesting her, but lo and behold, she was the #1 pick in Europe, supposedly. Not only that, she was the #5 pick in the US, and lo and behold, making her the #1 choice worldwide. Now, a lot of people love Bayonetta. I'm not bashing Bayonetta. She's definitely an awesome addition to this roster. But do I think there was maybe a little tomfoolery here with the fighter ballot and a little sneakiness? Yeah, a little bit, because Nintendo adds Bayonetta. It boosts the sales with Bayonetta 2. That was exclusive for Wii U. Bayonetta was ported to the Wii U as well. And it just boosts sales for the games. And it's an easy transition, like it says right there. Among the realizable characters, meaning in the US, there were 4 characters ahead of her. Who were those 4 characters? Now, chances are, a lot of people requested like non-video game characters. There were probably a lot of people requesting third-party characters that were hard to obtain through licensing, but Bayonetta was an easy transition because Nintendo works so closely with Sega and has kind of, in a way, taken over for Bayonetta. You saw the DLC that came for Bayonetta 2 with the Nintendo-themed costumes, such and such. But it makes you think, what about the other countries? What about Japan? What about China? What about all these other places? What characters ranked high? It's like Obama's real birth certificate. It's like something we're never going to see with the results of the Smash Bros. Fighter ballot. Which characters ranked high? Which characters do we want to see? But that's neither here or there, because the ballot is over, those are the characters we got, and they were all great additions. Now, as far as guest characters go, I definitely think Sonic and Mega Man will return. As far as the other 4 go, I think it's going to play in a lot of factors here. But that brings me to the conversation about Smash Switch. What characters will we end up seeing? So for this list, I compiled a few characters who I think stand a very good shot, or at least should be considered to be guest characters in Smash Switch. Now, before we get to my 5 picks, which, by the way, are not ranked in any particular order, I wanted to give you my unofficial 6th man for this list, and that would be Geno. Now, I put Gino on as my 6th man rather than on the top 5 list, and kind of like as that honorable mention, because we already got the most iconic character from Square that they have to offer with Cloud. So, of course, more people know who Cloud is. A lot more people are going to shell out the money for him. Like I said, money, money, money. And imagine how much money they made off DLC with Nintendo and Smash Bros. Gino is a character that has a dedicated fan base. Me personally, Super Mario RPG is one of my all-time favorite games, and I am hoping they sometime in the near future either make a sequel or at least a remastered version of that game. But if Gino was to be added to the Smash Switch roster, I definitely think he'd have to be added to the initial roster rather than DLC. Because like I said, Gino has a dedicated fan base, but opposed to Cloud, who is quote-unquote one of the mascots of Square and an iconic character, it's not a character really a whole lot of people are going to shell out money for, and it's really not going to boost the sales of really anything, because what's it really going to boost? The sales of Super Mario RPG on the Virtual Console? At least like Cloud boosts the sales of like a lot of people want to go back and play Final Fantasy VII, and then there's the remastered version of Final Fantasy VII coming out, so it kind of goes hand in hand in that aspect. And not only that, Final Fantasy being a juggernaut in the gaming world, but with Gino, here's a character who would be great. Sakurai at one point even did consider him. As you can see right here, we ended up getting him as a Mii costume, so there is a silver lining in there where you never know what the future can hold. Square and Nintendo are on good terms, and Sakurai did consider him at one point. You know the fan base is requesting him, so you never know. But for that reason alone, since we got kind of like the most iconic character that Square had to offer, that's why I felt to leave Gino off my top 5. But onto my top 5 now. Some of these characters I would love to see, some of these characters I am not personal fans of. I will explain with each. Now for my first pick, like I said, these are in no particular order, but my first pick is Bomberman. Now a lot of people might be saying, if you're going to go to Konami, why not choose Simon Belmont? He's a character who's got a stake with Nintendo as well, iconic. It came to a close call, but I did in the end have to go with Bomberman, because there's still Bomberman games coming out. As we can see, there is one coming for the Switch. Bomberman is an iconic character, long history with Nintendo, one of the oldest characters. He's almost as old as Pac-Man and Mario, coming out in 1983. There have been multiple entries in the series, a hell of a lot of Bomberman games. The series itself has grossed over $10 million in sales. Bomberman is iconic. Hudson Soft and Nintendo were really tight back in the day when they were helping to make the Mario Party games. Since then, Hudson Soft was bought out by Konami, which another argument may be, why not either go with Simon Belmont or have Snake return? But in the end, I feel like I have to go with Bomberman here. Iconic character, great moveset potential, long history with Nintendo, just seems to fit in with Smash Bros. Perfectly, and I think there's so much they could do with this character, and I think he's up there on characters that would really fit well as a guest character in Smash Switch, so I had to include him on my list for that reason alone. Now moving on to my second pick is Rayman. If you guys have seen my videos, you guys should know I am an avid supporter of Rayman. Now, would I consider Rayman iconic? Not really. Do I consider him semi-iconic? Sort of. He's had a lot of games. He's been out for over 20 years. There's been a lot of games in the Rayman franchise. Fits extremely well with Smash Bros. History with Nintendo, all that good stuff. The fans were demanding him ever since Artsy Omni's fake Rayman League blew up the internet. People were going crazy thinking he was really in. So Rayman is definitely a great viable option here. Great moveset potential. They could work the Rabbids into his moveset. As we know, there is a Super Mario Rabbids like RPG game coming out for the Switch at some point. That's been the rumor. He basically has a moveset that's already written for him. Even after the whole Rayman Legends debacle, it seems like Ubisoft and Nintendo are on good terms. And never forget, we had the Rayman trophies in Smash 4 with no explanation, so maybe they were hinting at something. I guess only time will tell, but definitely a viable option there in Rayman. Now moving on to my third pick. Now here's a character that's going to freak a lot of people out, but I will explain. Now if Nintendo just wanted to troll the hell and give a giant middle finger to PlayStation, they would add Crash Bandicoot as the playable character in Smash Switch. Now before anyone says Crash Bandicoot is owned by Sony, and you're stupid for even suggesting this, for over a decade, Crash Bandicoot has bounced around from third-party gaming company to third-party gaming company and has found a home with Activision and has been there since 2008 along with Spyro the Dragon. Crash Bandicoot is fair game if Nintendo wanted to negotiate with Activision and include him in a Smash Bros. Game, or even Spyro for that matter. But of course Crash Bandicoot is definitely more iconic, definitely more well-known. At one point he was the mascot and the poster boy for PlayStation. If you guys remember those like commercials from back in the day, the guy in the Crash costume screaming at Nintendo's headquarters with the megaphone. Now I know that may turn a lot of people off, but you gotta remember, Sonic and Mario used to be rivals back in the day 20 years ago, and look now, Sega and Nintendo are extremely tight. So if they wanted to, they could legitimately put Crash Bandicoot in a Smash Bros. Game. He is a character who would fit extremely well, iconic stature, fits that Smash Bros. Series, can think of a moveset for him. History with Nintendo, there have been a lot of Crash games on Nintendo platforms. Now, if they're going to put Crash, do not use his Skylanders look. You have to use his old school Crash look. Not the one with the markings either, the old school Crash Bandicoot look. Because right now he has that new Skylanders look, and they're also doing the remastered games for PS4. But there you go. If they wanted to include Crash, they could, and there's nothing Sony can do about it, and they would definitely troll the hell out and freak and like blow a lot of people's minds if he was to be included. Now moving on to my fourth pick. Now, I'm not really too big on indie characters because I don't think they made a big enough stake in gaming, but here's a character who has a huge fan base of supporters, and that is Shovel Knight. Now, of course, a lot of people say, why not go with Shantae if you're going to go with an indie rep? She has a closer ties to Nintendo. But at the end of the day, I feel like Shovel Knight has made a big impact in gaming and taken a big step for indie gamers and developers. We've seen this character go toe-to-toe with Kratos from God of War, the Battletoads, some pretty big and iconic names in the gaming world. There is a new game coming out, and Shovel Knight would definitely fit extremely well. But my only concern is I don't see Nintendo going to Yacht Club Games and saying, can we have Shovel Knight? But there is a thing here which is very important that people overlook. The fact that there is a Shovel Knight amiibo. No other non-Nintendo-owned characters have an amiibo except for Shovel Knight. That is pretty big for Nintendo to give a non-indie character their own amiibo. Unless they do it in the future and like more non-Nintendo characters have amiibos, then it doesn't mean anything. But as of right now, he is the only one, which is definitely an impressive feat. Now, me personally, when I look at any indie character, I don't see them as worthy as any kind of like iconic character, like I mentioned, like a Bomberman or like a Crash Bandicoot, as being worthy of a Smash Bros. Game. But if they were going to go with an indie character, Shovel Knight is probably the best option. He fits extremely well. There is an amiibo with him. There's a new game coming out. You know where this franchise may go in the near future. Shovel Knight could end up being the biggest indie character ever. Now, I really don't see Nintendo going to Yacht Club Games and saying, let us include these characters. I could see more like being the other way around. But you never know. Maybe Nintendo sees something and wants to say, hey, let's include a character to represent all indie games, and Shovel Knight would be the one to fit the bill. Like I said, Shovel Knight's not really a character I'm personally clamoring for, but I know he's got a huge fan base, so I felt I had to include him on this list. Now on to my fifth and final pick with two characters who are personal favorites of mine. Now, back in my older videos talking about the fighter ballot, these are two characters I've always said it's extremely unlikely they'd be included. But if they were, I think these two characters would blow everyone's mind almost on the same level as Crash Bandicoot was included. Like I said many times, it's very unlikely Nintendo would negotiate with a rival gaming company with Xbox and Microsoft, but if they were and somehow to work out a deal, Banjo and Kazooie are definitely two viable options. I am huge supporters of them. If you see my older videos, I've always said it's very unlikely to happen, that they would go with Microsoft and try to work out a deal. Now, head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, has stated twice that it would be cool to see them in, and they have worked with Rare IP in the past, and there have not been any issues. But of course, that is nowhere near any confirmation or inclination that they're definitely going to be in a Smash Bros. Game. That's just him saying it's cool, and they haven't had an issue. But that's drastically different than saying that Banjo and Kazooie are definitely going to be in a Smash Bros. Game. Just to make sure everyone's clear on that. While it would be awesome, they fit extremely well in the universe. They've had history with Nintendo. Of course, they're not iconic in the general sense, but on an N64 level, they are some of the most iconic as they come. And for about 15 years now, since Microsoft acquired Rare, they have done basically nothing with this franchise other than nuts and bolts and Rare Replay. We haven't seen these characters in forever. It'd be the perfect way to kind of like bring them back to where it all started. But yet again, it all comes down to if Nintendo would negotiate with a rival gaming company. And that's my last and final pick for guest characters for Smash Switch. Like I said, some of these are more likely than others, but these are just my predictions and my picks. Anyone can think of any character they want to. Please let me know in the comment section. In fact, if you look in the comments and description, I actually made another straw poll for fun to kind of like gauge the community to see which guest character they really want to see in Smash Switch. So if you'd like to participate and fill it out, just click the link in the comments and description below. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you like these picks? Do you not? What characters would you like to see in Smash Switch? When do you think the game will come out? And like I said, I will be doing about 2 or 3 other videos discussing Smash Switch of like newcomers, a roster size video, and all that good stuff, so be on the lookout for that. But anyway, guys, that is the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it's good to be back. It's been a while since I've done a Smash Bros. Video, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And like always, for all the latest fighting game news and speculation, be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon with a brand new video.